Hi, it's James here from Food Matters, and today I'm here with Elcy Wang. Elcy has studied with the Food Matters Institute and become a certified nutrition coach. Elcy comes from a background in the corporate world, in software engineer, in business analyst, and in the finance industry, and now studying nutrition online. She's inspired to want to help people recreate the art of lost home cooking and take back their kitchens, which I think most of us will agree, listening to this call, it is the center of revolution, the center of transformation. Her new brand that she's emerging and bringing to the world through her studies is called Making It Real. Elcy, it's exciting to chat with you today.
Likewise, my pleasure.
So I guess I wanted to find out what was some of the inspiration that made you take the step, take the leap to want to study nutrition with Food Matters.
Well, it happened kind of over time. I would say over the last decade, I went through a lot of health issues that doctors didn't understand.
Mm,
And eventually I realized that, they don't have all the answers, and there are actually much better ways for addressing my health issues, many of which require a foundation of good nutrition and a healthy lifestyle. So I started to look for more education online.
nice. And in that search, I mean, what first brought you into Food Matters? Had you seen our films, or was it a friend that said, this is an interesting program? I'm interested. How did you come across our work?
Had never heard about Food Matters until I got an email from Elizabeth Ryder. I've been a
Mhm.
fan of hers and on her email list.
Nice.
And the timing was good because I was really searching for some more information. I had done a lot of studies
Mm,
on my own, within another program, and really just wanted more information that was actionable. So when I got her email and I read it, I knew it was as in her words, the right next step to take.
mm.
It's just what I needed to give me the credibility and confidence to proceed with building my online business.
Nice. I resonate so much with that because when I first studied nutrition online myself in 2005, six, or six and seven, should I say, mostly, that's really where I gained so much confidence to be able to put together a lot of the knowledge because I'd been reading books and watching films, but it wasn't until I'd taken some training that I felt more confident. So I can understand that feeling. With regards to the program, one of the things you mentioned was around this idea of mystery illnesses. These niggling symptoms or things that seem to be difficult for the medical profession to address. And being in this space and interviewing many experts over the years, and hearing so many people's stories, this is a big issue. There's so many people suffering with these types of mystery conditions. Um, that the medical profession seem not very skilled at treating and difficult to diagnose. How did you find the content of the Food Matters Nutrition Certification Program help you? And what was most interesting for you in terms of the content and the modules? Was it about the gut, the autoimmune conditions, hormones? What did you find helped you the most?
Yeah, I think it was a good balance of, understanding just all how the body works, all the core functions of the body, how nutrition impacts the body, and what actions you can take to make yourself healthier or address certain issues. So I found that it was good kind of educational knowledge, but also very actionable. I think from lesson to lesson, I had, takeaways that I felt like, I knew what to do for myself, given my situation, given the new things that I learned. There were very clear steps that I could try.
Nice. And were there any standouts in the program that you liked? Was it teachers, or was it the content or the workbook? What did you find most useful to you in terms of the study?
Um, there's so much that I liked about the program. In terms of the teachers, they were, extremely knowledgeable, clearly the experts. They were very inspiring. And they were really good at explaining just how the body works in a way that anybody can understand. And
Mhm.
I don't come from a medical or healthcare background. So it's just really helpful how they explained everything. And I think in terms of the course materials, they were above and beyond what I expected, which made it a lot easier for me to learn and absorb the information. And yeah, and I think the program just offers a lot more than just nutrition education. I feel like I've been welcomed into like a international community of people who want to work towards positive change. So that was really nice.
Beautiful. Let's do it. We need to create a ripple effect of healing in the world because there is so much unnecessary suffering, and it's simply, in my understanding and my research, a lack of knowledge. There's a gap in knowledge, and with being able to close that education gap in terms of how to eat for different conditions, or what foods to eat and what foods to avoid, or how to help balance the body naturally, I think that can provide so much help to people. And I'm really glad that you're a part of the community now, Elcy, to help share that with
Thank
more
you.
people. So how has your sort of life changed after completing the program? What are some of the things that you implemented personally to work through
Hmm.
some of the things that you're personally working on? And maybe beyond that, what has it inspired you to do next in terms of steps towards bringing this to more people with some of the programs and ideas that you have in the pipeline?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say I definitely feel more capable in managing my own health. And um, I feel I have more background now to help educate others. And I'm starting to learn how to listen to my own body's signals in terms of what does or doesn't work for me. Just I have a lot more ideas now on what to do. I've had, some digestive issues that have been lingering for a really long time, and I think I'm getting close to a couple of breakthroughs. I'm kind of retesting and reproving it first before I can say, that I figured it out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I feel you. And I mean, that's a
yeah,
journey that I think continues, discovering something that's not working, fixing it. But then health is a journey. And there's so many ways that we get tested over time. It could be a stressful impact in our life. It could be a dietary impact in our life. And for me personally, this knowledge has helped me to continue to navigate those changes. And I feel that sounds like what you're doing. You're testing new things. And as you get well, then you're using that knowledge and facing new challenges and testing again.
for sure, for sure. And I think it's easy to underestimate kind of the power of nutrition or the influence that your lifestyle has on yourself. I
Mm,
always thought, I can just tough it through anything. It's just a matter of will and getting through things. Doesn't matter how much stress I'm under, whether I'm eating healthy or not. That's not the biggest factor. When in fact it really is.
absolutely. I hear you on that. Thank you. Final question. What would you say to somebody that is considering studying nutrition with us or studying nutrition online in general? Would you suggest they study with us or continue their study, and why is it important that people are studying nutrition online at this particular time in history?
Let's see. I'll start with the last question first. I think we're currently in a state of crisis in terms of well-being, and at least in the United States, the politicians, they hotly debate, what's the best way to provide affordable health care for all. But nobody ever really talks about how to avoid chronic illness, because if we could do that, there wouldn't be the, healthcare costs in the first place. Um, so I think, the more nutrition coaches we have, the more we can help hopefully, change the dialogue around health. And for those interested in studying nutrition online, I think this program truly is an excellent investment. And I would say don't overthink it, just do it.
Awesome, beautiful, amazing feedback. And I 100% agree.
Yeah.
We have a crisis that's existent right now and looming even further on the horizon with the amount of autoimmune conditions and mystery illnesses and children being diagnosed with diabetes and obesity. And prevention is not being discussed. And that's a huge focus point that we believe in here, has an incredible amount of importance, and excited that you're going to help with us sharing this message with more people as well. So thank you so much, Elcy, for your time today and your feedback about the program. It's been great to chat with you.
Thank you.
Awesome. You rocked it.
Okay.
Oh my God, you're great.
Oh, thanks.
So let's do a day in the life. I'm going to do a quick intro, then I'll do a few rapid fire questions to you. And I guess you can answer like what your current day in the life is like. And you could also speak to, if you wanted to, future self, like what you're working on or what would be your ideal life. Maybe just choose how you want to answer it. We'll go with the flow. Does that sound okay?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Hi, it's James here from Food Matters, and I'm here today with Elcy Wang. She is a certified nutrition coach through the Food Matters Nutrition Certification Program, and we are doing a day in the life with a nutrition coach. Elcy, first question, short intro bio. Tell me about yourself, a little bit about your background, and how you got into studying nutrition.
All right. So I work in corporate America. That's my day job. And in the evenings, I've been working on my health and wellness blog. That's when I do all my content writing, hoping to launch that business sometime this year, hopefully sooner than later.
Mhm.
So just became really passionate about health and wellness just through my own life experiences and challenges, and doing a lot of research, and just really happy that I had stumbled across the Food Matters Institute program.
Amazing. And what's the name of your site that you're working on? Because if people listen to this later down the track, it could be already going.
Yes, it's going to be called Making It Real, and it's a blog, makingitreal.blog.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Making it real.blog. So keep a note on that. Next question. Run us through what a typical day looks like for you in terms of waking up to when you go to sleep, in terms of like food, exercise rituals. That is your new self after studying this course.
Yeah. So I'm a morning person, so I get up around 5:30 in the morning. The first thing I do is drink about 18 ounces of water. I remember David Bowles said, start your day with water. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what I do.
Nice.
Then after that, I like to exercise in the morning. So I do kind of a power workout, about 30 minutes of jump rope, and then a little bit of kind of yoga-like stretches.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my self-care. I also do like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of meditation just to kind of set myself for the day.
Mhm.
And after that, that's when my day really gets rolling. So I have to jump in the shower quick, then run my kids to the schools. They go to two different schools. Then I come home and then I do my day job. Kids come home, I cook dinner. After that, it's quiet time and I work on my blog content. And then I try to get to bed by 10 o'clock each day.
Awesome. Amazing. That's a full and exciting day. You're an early bird, which is like me. So tell me, what is some of your favorite breakfasts or break your fast early morning food rituals that really work for you right now in terms of what makes you feel good and gives you sustained energy?
Yeah, well, lately, my favorite breakfast and the favorite for my family is a recipe I recently created, inspired by the nutrition program. There's a module that talked about superfoods, so
Mm.
one of which is the acai.
Mhm.
And so I created a recipe. I'm calling it the Amazing Acai Bowl, and
Cool.
that's going to be out on my blog. It's very
Nice.
refreshing and energizing and a great way to start your day.
Nice. Can you give us a sneak peek as to what some of the ingredients and some of the superfoods you included in this recipe?
Well, let's see. There's some dark cherries in it and some
Ooh,
variety of berries, but I
nice.
add some protein to it with protein powder, hemp
Hmm.
seeds, a little bit
Mm,
of dark chocolate, unsweetened cocoa nibs. My
nice.
younger one likes me to mix in some cocoa powder so she gets a chocolate version of what we have. So yeah,
That's great.
it's
So
really
you're
good.
getting
Yeah,
superfoods, you're getting berries, you're getting the antioxidants, you're getting the polyphenols, the plant-based chemicals that are super powerful for health. You've got healthy fats in there with the hemp seeds, healthy protein.
that's right.
Amazing. So what does your work look like in terms of, you said that in the evenings you're working on your blog. So that's the main way that you're going to sort of be professionally using this content in the world as a nutrition coach. What are some of the ways that you're working on your blog? Are you doing recipe content? Are you doing articles? Are you looking to create a program? How are you spending your time in the new professional side of using this certification?
Yeah, so it's a combination of writing recipes and articles. And kind of the way I think about it is, the reason I call it making it real is really just people who know that there's things they can do to be healthier, but sometimes it's hard to implement that
Mm,
in reality in your life. You
mm,
might say, I want to avoid eating these foods and I want to start eating these other foods, but I've never made those kinds of foods before. I don't have the skills to do it. I don't know what the recipes are. Maybe I don't know
mm,
which tools are best to use. So it's not just about recipes, but just it's teaching you how to cook in new ways, which is,
mm,
any beginner can learn from, or just someone who's an experienced cook but wants to change their ways and how they eat. The articles are really meant to really complement the recipes to help people understand uh, why you should think about what you eat, because what you eat really affects your day, affects your life. And why is that? And, what are the things that matter? What do you need to consider when you're making foods? What should your priorities be? What are your current health issues? What are you
mm,
trying to solve? If you want to do an elimination diet, what's a good way to approach it? And, what
mm.
are some good recipes to do? So kind of meant to all work together.
Awesome. Maybe you could have some of your content shared on foodmatters.com one day. That'd be exciting.
I would love it.
Awesome. So, Elcy, thank you so much. And I think one of the
Yeah.
key things you touched on there, which I love about your new Making It Real journey and blog, is this idea of teaching people new ways to cook. Because there's so many recipes out there, but giving people new experiences of ways to put food together. Or one of my favorite chefs, who's a very middle of the line sort of gentleman, Jamie Oliver, he talks about creating a story in a pan, creating a story in a dish. And I love that idea because maybe it's similar for you when I cook. I come and create a story, and some people follow recipes, and other people need ideas about how to build new ways of cooking into their life. And I think that's a beautiful mission. And I'm super excited that together here at Food Matters, we've helped to provide you more tools and confidence to be able to take this to more people. And this is fair and square and center our mission in helping share this life-saving message with more people. So thank you, Elcy. It's been great to speak with you today.
Thank you. It's good speaking with you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You rock that section too. So great. Okay. So now let's have a little bit of fun. You get to ask me some questions and I get to do my best to answer. And let's
Yeah.
go.
I jotted a few down. Let me look
Mhm.
for them.
That's okay.
I think let's see, where did that go? I think I lost track of them. So I'm just going to go
No,
by memory.
I'm gonna remember. I did see them on Slack actually.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring up Slack. I closed it so that it wouldn't be pinging during my the interview with you. And I think Grace sent it to me. Just gonna check here because I want to make sure I can. Here we go. I've got them. Okay, so question number one: given all the
Yep.
differences in expert opinion, how did you decide which health and wellness experts were the right ones to listen to? So you mean in terms of which experts that we chose,
Yeah, and I
or what
assume
the
that
advice was given?
well, yeah, I think yeah, the experts that you chose, how did you decide who to trust? Who
Okay,
really
yeah,
knew what they were talking about?
that's a great question. So I feel like initially, because we first started filming for Food Matters in 2007, and since that time until now, we've been interviewing experts and we've had to vet them based on a number of criteria. I think the first criteria is a supreme and and avant-garde independence and almost a distrust for the the institutions of power within the health and wellness industry. Oh, sorry, the healthcare industry. Simply because, Elcy, that the healthcare industry is so heavily entrenched in a for-profit and money-based system. So the America and most of the Western developed world was built on this capitalistic idea of build a mission or a company and add value to shareholders, really at the cost of anything else, at the cost
Right.
of people, at the cost of the planet, at the cost of whatever it might be. Now, this approach has created some incredible wins for the world. and it's created some incredible losses for the world. And I think in no other place do we see that more than in healthcare, unfortunately. So critical emergency care is quite incredible in the West, and I think that we do a pretty good job of that. There's some deep failings, like the fact that they do not give intravenous vitamin C or zinc to every person that's going in for surgery is beyond me. That research has been there for years. It helps decrease infections. It helps improve recovery times. It's super low cost, and you can put it straight into a saline solution. So why is it that some of these most incredible, simple approaches are being neglected? That worries me, because that also speaks to this idea that they're so heavily funded by and supported by these megalithic corporations that profit from health. And this is,
Right.
they've created great drugs that save lives, but most of their blockbusters, most of their attention is on drugs and medicine that half sick people need to take for the rest of their life. That's the ultimate drug, and that's really bothers me. And so when I think about an expert, I need to either have somebody that's defected from that industry and questioned it and been like, hang on a second, we've got patients presenting with clearly symptoms that are driven by lifestyle and food choices, and we're medicating them for 10, 20, 30 years. This is not an ideal situation. I don't disagree with medication at all, but then you start to realize that the medical industry doesn't really tend to train medical doctors, for that matter, or nurses in nutrition. So really my first filter was, how do we find medical doctors that have questioned that and are worried about that? Mark Hyman, for instance, fantastic. He's like, I did 6 hours of nutrition training, probably less. It wasn't required. I had to go there myself. People didn't really care about the class. Then we did the Hippocratic Oath, which says, I will do no harm. And the Hippocratic Oath also says, use nutrition first. Well, not in the oath, but in his statements. And if you go to Cos Island, which I hadn't been to yet, I was thinking about going this last year, their hospital is set up in like 4 stages. And one of those stages is like detoxification and cleansing and food. And another stage is actually psychedelics and working with like a dream consultant, and then, so there's some different things. And I think psychedelics are coming back on the discussion now. Mark's a great example. He's defected. He questioned it. He's a really well-trained expert, and he's using nutrition successfully in the Cleveland Clinic and other work that he does. David Wolf is someone who I like because he's really more further out there questioning all that as well. So I think great scientists question everything. And we're taught nowadays to not question the scientists. That worries me, because the best scientists question the science all the time. That's what they do. And we're being sort of taught now not to question science. Massive alarm bell, and we're being censored for questioning the science. Oh my God, it can go too far where there's creating splinter groups that are just wanting to attack everything. And but my first vetting point are people that are seriously worried about the system and questioning it, and almost fiercely opposing some of the ethics. And that's a big thing for me, because I think that's the problem. When I first studied nutrition, I was pissed off that I wasn't taught this, and that the government doesn't know this, and that the health ticks and the star ratings and everything is just government policy driven by lobbyists that lobby government as to what it should be. And those lobbyists are paid for by the meat board, the dairy board, the pharmaceutical industry. So there's so many entrenched industries that profit from it. So that was my big thing. How is it independent? And when I was studying nutrition online, that's what I wanted to see as well. What is a college that is really independent, that can free think around this? And that's my first point.
Did you find that college? Did that college meet your expectations? Okay.
Well, it did a little bit, and it opened my eyes mostly to what I've learned before I chose the experts. So it opened my mind to people like not Andrew Saul. Well, it did, because they taught orthomolecular nutrition to me for the first time. And that was eye-opening, like, whoa, Linus Pauling, 2-time Nobel laureate, has been speaking about using high-dose nutrients to help create a curative effect in the body. And he's being attacked by the medical profession because he's not a medical doctor, but the guy's like a genius. And then we don't really hear about it ever,
Right.
you don't hear about it ever. And we spoke about it first in 2008 when Food Matters came out. Hey, high dose intravenous vitamin C therapy is proven to, attack cancer cells, keep healthy cells in check, and overall it's good for the body. Then we start to see articles come out 2 or 3 years ago. Hey, new study shows intravenous vitamin C good for cancer. It's like, come on. And still, when you go into a hospital or clinical environment with a cancer diagnosis, the insurance type infrastructure does not allow these treatments. And those treatments are not allowed because one company cannot patent or receive exclusive profits from that because it's a nutrient. It cannot be patented. These things worry me. And so I look for that type of research because that sits outside the sort of the traditional economic bounds of healthcare. And that course that we found, that institute is now closed. It was the Global College of Nutrition and Natural Medicine, GCNM. I don't know the exact reasons they closed or things that happened. I don't think it was that pretty at the end. There were students that paid and didn't get things. This was many years after we studied. This was in 2005 and 6 when I think we first studied. But they also sent out materials, books by Philip Day. And he was more of an investigative journalist that was starting to ask some of these questions, which I thought was an important discussion. And we interviewed him. They also included content from Andrew Weil, who I think is an amazing gentleman, incredible researcher, an American integrative medical doctor, big into mind-body connection, big into herbal medicine, big into foods, and very influential in many spaces. He was one of the founders of Aveda, like a natural sort of product which got bought out. I don't know how natural it is anymore.
Not so much anymore.
No, but he was a big influence and a great guy. A bit quieter now. He's a bit older, So that helped lead me into these people that I got in contact with, and I've sort of just used networking and interviewing people, and they tell me about people, and tried to keep finding the best people. And I think our approach to curation is unique, and we've been consistent for a number of years doing it since 2007 till now, still interviewing people, still bringing content to the world, and whether it's in films or programs, and that's our criteria.
Yeah, it's challenging because there's a lot of things, that I've learned on my own or through the program. It makes a lot of sense, and makes more sense than my personal experience to the medical system and how they handled things. But when talking to people, I have a couple of friends who are actually doctors. And if I, talk about something kind of cutting edge or, relatively cutting edge based on just what people know and don't know, they're like, well, there really is no evidence for this. There's no proof, but then you hear the experts saying that there's solid scientific evidence. So it's like, where's this missing gap? How is it that nobody knows about this? Not even the doctors.
So I'm going to share something with you that you've probably seen before. This is the 3 stages of something being accepted as truth, right? First, it's opposed. Second, it's ridiculed. Third, it's accepted as truth. Now,
right.
Think about this: mercury amalgam fillings. No, absolutely. It's opposed, vehemently opposed. We have research showing it doesn't cause any negative effects. It's fine. Then anybody that speaks out about mercury amalgam fillings in the mouth is ridiculed, put down, licenses taken away from them, holistic dentists trying to speak their truth. And now the industry is like, oh yeah, we don't do mercury amalgam anymore. We only do ceramic or this because it's safer. And now it's like standard procedure to not use mercury amalgam fillings in the mouth. So I think we're just sitting through these cycles of time. Doctors used to recommend smoking. Asbestos used to be a safe building material. Mold is just something that's in a house. It doesn't matter. Just use some exit mold on it and cover it up. At E951, as a artificial sweetener, totally safe and fine. Aspartame, totally safe. But then the airline industry is like, hey, pilots, maybe don't drink diet soda with aspartame because it could cause an aberration of vision, right? So then the cracks slowly start to emerge, and over time, first it's opposed, like, no, it's totally safe, nothing. And then anybody that speaks out to it gets ridiculed. And then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden it's going to be like, oh no, we don't use aspartame anymore. That's just in the past. It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you're just going to be on the early side of the curve. And I don't even think it's worth getting into debate anymore. I think it's just more about if people resonate with it, that's okay. And if they don't, just I don't really fight anybody anymore. I just realized that, things that I spoke about 10 years ago, or I'm not an expert, I'm just a facilitator of this knowledge, but things that we were bringing to light 10 years ago that were ridiculed. I mean, when we first launched Truth Matters, my sister-in-law said, good luck with your like goji berry film, and your like spirulina film, and Food Matters has gone on to be a huge success. Now every cafe that people go to will put goji berries or raw cacao or these sorts of things on an acai bowl or in a smoothie, and everybody wants it. It's super popular. Not
For
because
sure.
it's a fad, but because, okay, these are just real foods that are super powerful. We should be eating them because we're suffering and we need more nutrients. And I even feel like more people turning towards natural approaches to cancer is common now. People wanting to do complementary therapies in conjunction with traditional therapies, more people
Yeah.
talking about it. It's less like the Gerson therapy was heavily ridiculed, for a number of years as
Mm-hmm.
dangerous and bad and wrong. And I went to the clinic with Charlotte once, and they're just taking people that are end stage cancer patients with like scars all over their body from like the radiation, everything, and then scars from the surgery they've been given up on. And Gerson therapy is like, okay, take an oat bath to help calm the skin down, take some enemas to help clean out the colon, eat lots of vegetables. It's like beautiful. Like that's, at least if it gives you better quality of life and better length of life,
Yeah.
they're two huge things. And then medical doctors could absolutely argue that for days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if I was an end stage cancer patient, I'd be doing those things to try to support my health as much as possible. I think it makes common sense that most people would do it, except for people that don't think that the body is miraculous. I think we've been taught to believe that the body is just an inanimate sum of parts, this mechanical
Right.
thing. And once it starts to give up, well, it's just you're on your last legs and you just, the engine keeps running and you roll down the hill until you just die, but
Right.
really the body is miraculous. It's constantly healing. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly wanting to get better. But now we realize we need to actually give it an environment to work better. And if
For
the
sure.
environment's poor, stress, bad relationships, unhappiness, lack of purpose, poor food, poor nutrients, bad nutrient uptake and absorption through poor digestion, then you're on the highway to disease as opposed to highway to health. And that's
Yeah.
there's so much research now on that. I don't think the medical profession can debate that food, nutrition, and lifestyle, the percentage of implication of poor nutrition and lifestyle choices in terms of chronic illness is very high. We know that it contributes to these illnesses. Many journals have written about it. Obesity is the leading precursor of all chronic death and disease. And we know that
Mm-hmm.
obesity is caused by poor food choices predominantly, and very much so stress. So that's all pointing to that. But they don't believe that prevention is the same as cure. Whereas in the natural
Mm-hmm.
medicine field, we believe prevention and cure are the same
And
discussion,
one of the
the same,
same.
they're one
Yeah.
and the same. If it can prevent something, then it should
Mm-hmm.
speak to having some sort of curative element. But
Right.
they see it as a cutoff. Okay, yeah, so nutrition and poor lifestyle choices can lead to something, but then after that, you should just treat it with
Mm-hmm.
drugs, surgery, and other more medical based interventions. Whereas we're like, no, if it's come to that point and we know that it's being caused by that, then that approach to, if that's the causative factor, then we can speak to using that from a preventative sense. But then from a
Yeah.
natural medicine standpoint, we say, well, that could also work from a curative sense. And we know that people who are at this point of junction of illness go and they've got an illness that we have data that says these things lead to the illness. And then they fix those things, which is more of a preventative approach, and they start to get better health outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
Medical professional, that's just lucky. I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
We can't really say that works. That worries me. because that's the
There's
point.
kind of a double standard in kind
Yeah.
of looking at the information. One of the things I haven't shared in my testimonial or elsewhere is one of my biggest health challenges was I had chronic muscle pain. Just for a long time,
Mm,
I would just constantly hurt and I couldn't move very well. I
mm,
lost like 50% of my range of motion.
wow.
I went to a physiatrist, which was kind of the medical systems version of a more holistic doctor that
Yeah.
they can employ multiple modalities within the conventional practice to help you. And so when I went to see this physiatrist, she assessed me and she said, you know what? Good news. What you have is not life-threatening. I get it. It's a whole lot of pain, but it's not a lot of harm. And that was it. And then she sent
That's
me
it.
off.
And then just left
That's
you.
it. And I thought, really,
Good
it's
news.
okay. It's okay and normal just to be in pain and you
Pain.
can't move. Um,
Mm,
so
mm,
then years later, not years later, but a while later, I was just getting really frustrated and also kind of depressed because I felt like I
mm,
was living in a spider web. I just couldn't move.
mm, mm.
And I decided to go see a psychologist because like some doctors say, you just need to learn how to cope with pain, live with pain. And I went to see the psychologist and she said, I think you just need to accept the fact that you're getting old. And I was in my early 40s, barely out of my 30s, just starting my 40s. I thought, getting old. And at that time, my dad was in his 80s and he was much more mobile than me and completely pain-free, right?
Yeah.
And I was feeling like much less functional than him. And I thought, how how could my my experience of pain be interpreted as just like the natural aging process?
Mm,
Something's wrong with this assessment, And at that time,
yeah.
I didn't understand food as medicine, nutrition, or anything like that. All I knew is how I was being assessed just didn't make any sense at all.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. And then you've been able to make improvements through food and lifestyle changes, though.
Yeah, one step at a time. I started to reduce my stress. I had a lot of stressors. I had
Mhm,
my
mhm.
first child had a lot of medical issues,
Mhm.
really took a toll on me,
Yeah, I
and
bet.
some other compounding factors. And so,
Mhm.
for sure, I knew I had to lower that stress level.
Yeah,
Then I started adding exercise back in,
yeah,
and then slowly I started to learn, first of all, just learn how to cook, never mind what I was cooking. Learn
yeah,
how to cook.
yeah, yeah.
Once you learn how to cook, then you have the skills to kind of make decisions on what you eat.
Mm,
And so then it was quite the journey because not only is it about skill set, but it's also about mindset.
mhm.
And a lot of things that you eat, are based on your habits, your culture, the memories you associate with the food that you eat. All those
Absolutely.
things hold you to where you are, right? And
Bondage.
sometimes
Yeah,
it's bondage. It keeps you
mhm.
from being able to change. So you got to
Yes,
kind of let go of that and look at things differently. Like, why can't something else become my favorite food or be part of my good memories or part of my
yeah,
annual birthday tradition, right? And
totally,
things like
totally.
that.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
great realization.
yeah. So it's kind of just all incrementally, one step at a time, getting closer and closer to,
Hmm.
I guess, the truth of what I really
Yeah,
needed. Yeah.
nice, beautiful.
Thanks so
Okay,
much for your
Elsie,
time. Really
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. Nice to
Yeah.
chat with you. Ciao.
Nice to chat with you. Bye bye.
Bye.